Grab one today.
My Lord, show me right from wrong. Give me light, make me strong. I know the road is long. Make me strong.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم. My brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Hafiz Khan and welcome once again to Different Perspectives. We have been looking at, in fact, we started with the conference that they had 2 weeks ago. And we have been meeting with some of the scholars who came down for that conference. And today we have another one, and he is Dr. Ataullah Siddiqui. And we will be talking in this program about interfaith relations. So let me just welcome my guest, Ataullah. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Welcome to Trinidad and welcome to
Thank you very much for your
IBN
welcome.
and welcome to Different Perspectives.
Thank you.
Your first time here in Trinidad?
This is my first time and I liked it. Yes.
And let me just say that Ataullah has his PhD in Christian Muslim, in theology, with his thesis being on Christian Muslim relations. What made you choose that particular area to do your thesis on?
Oh, that's a very interesting story because I was born and brought up in India,
Right.
and a mountainous area of Darjeeling. And near Darjeeling, there's a small town called Kalimpong. And there, the Scottish missionaries built a school in 1886. So when I finished my primary education, my parents thought that good education for their son will be in a missionary school. So I entered into a Scottish missionary school, and there, every day, I have to read the Bible, half an hour every day. So that is the beginning of understanding of Christianity.
Right.
It started. Teachers were of different types, different kind of people. Every year, there were some other teachers who were much more exciting, challenging, etc. Now, that gave me an opportunity not only to look what Christianity is, but also to start exploring my own faith. And that's how I became interested in Christian and Muslim relationship. When I entered into college, I became interested in research. So I started doing research how Christianity came in that region, how the Protestant church, how the Catholic church came. And I entered into this wide area of Christianity. So that was the beginning of that, and I started writing about it. And sometimes in my very early youth, I started presenting people. Now, it so happened that in one of the papers, in a conference that I gave the paper on Christian-Muslim relations, rather Christian mission efforts in the hilly regions of that Darjeeling area. So I just gave the paper, I forgot about it. This is my first attempt, second attempt doing these things. But a few years later, I received a letter from the organizer of that conference that the people are interested on Christian-Muslim relations in England to give a scholarship.
Right.
So I said, fine, I'll go there. I applied and of course shortlisted, and then I was invited to go and join the Islamic Foundation in Leicester. So after that, nearly 2 years, I immersed myself in Christianity, study of Christianity and mission, thought, history, and the dialogue. And those 2-3 years, the formative period in England, I was intensively involved in Christian-Muslim dialogue.
What year that was?
That was in 82 onward.
Right.
So that's how I started my early interest, early beginning. So this is how I started. Now, if you want to know, if you would like to see how this whole Christian-Muslim relation or interfaith relation works, because I was working on two fronts. One is the bilateral relationship between Christian and Muslims, and another was a multilateral dialogues. And I was
before you go on to that, just on an aside, what are the real differences between Roman Catholic and Protestants? You noted
Look,
that.
I would really encourage you to really ask this question to Roman Catholic and Protestant. So, because an outsider, I'm still an outsider, though I have studied it,
yeah.
But it will be better to a believing Christian or Christian people to answer that one.
But from a theological point of view, what are the
It's a
differences?
huge area of theological part.
Yeah.
Now, Catholic Church was the established church in the whole Europe. Some of the practices of Catholic Church were not very up to the mark. And Martin Luther in Germany, he was also a Catholic priest, was not satisfied, in a very simple way. And he put a 95 thesis, 95 opposition in his church. And that started beginning of the separation.
But you also have the Lutheran Church.
That's the further divisions at that. So Protestant Church started with Martin Luther as a protest against the Catholics. But the political,
that where they get a name from?
Political situation of Europe was such that increasingly Martin Luther's gained support from the princes who helped him, hide him, and supported him, and that's how
it spread.
And then after that came the Calvinist, then all other groups emerged. So Presbyterians and all those things.
And I'm amazed the amount of different branches of Christianity in Europe. Sometimes we don't realize the amount.
No, in 2001, I was reading a report that actually there are 22,500 plus Christian denominations in the world. Out of that, 6,000 exist in America. So you can imagine that is a huge.
Yeah.
So we also have our own differences.
Yeah, I know. So going back to what you were saying in terms of
now, what I'm saying is that there is two differences. There are differences between interfaith relations and bilateral relations between the two communities. Let me explain to you slightly in a simple way. When we meet in interfaith relations, we meet Jews, Hindus, Buddhists, Baha'is, everybody together.
Right.
There, the common agenda would be how the faith communities can help each other and negotiate a path for the common good. That is the exploration between the two faiths. Between the faith is not the immediate concern.
Right.
Concerns is that we are the believers, collectively what we can do. Now that's interfaith relations. Harmony in the society, understanding, etc. is very important. That's the beginning. Now if we come to this bilateral relationship, I believe that's the place where you need to open up. Say, for example, I'm a Muslim, and if I have I like to talk and have a dialogue with the Sikh community. So what I will do, we'll have Sikh-Muslim dialogue group. But remember that the Sikh has also grievances against Muslims.
Right.
Historical injustices done to them. In Mughal period, their two gurus has been killed by the early Muslims. But Muslims also have grievances, because what happened in 1947 in partitions, lots of Muslims were killed from the hands of Christians, hands of Sikh. So you can see each one has starting points are different. But unless you come and confront these things, we will create an image about the other person. So Sikh will say, these Muslims are like this, etc. And these messages will continuously passed on to next generation without exploring together. So the bilateral relationship gives an opportunity to confront those demons. Christian and Muslims have the similar problem. There are grievances on both sides. Crusade is one.
Right.
The role of some of the missionary activities under the colonial banner is another.
That's right.
Christians has also currently concerns about expulsion from the Middle East. They are just in rows going. It's not because the Muslims want them to go out. It's recent killings in Egypt.
And Iraq.
And Iraq. And also their concerns about issue of Sharia. All these are quite a genuine issues. So if we do not talk together and confront each other, these things will continue. The image that we perpetrated about the other, that other cannot recognize me in that image. I can't recognize if Christian would portray me in a certain way. So we need to confront that. So what I'm saying is that bilateral dialogue gives an opportunity to expand, to develop. For that, in dialogue, whether interfaith dialogue or whether bilateral dialogue, most central point is develop first the friendship. After friendship comes the trust. Once you have developed the friendship and trust, then you confront your demons, your real perception of history. Because each community has its own memory. I know what you have done to me, but you do not know how I feel about it. So the memory is selective. So is the history.
Yeah.
The history that I know about Christians and Muslims is not what Christian will recognize, or the vice versa. They may not recognize my history, my perception. And therefore, what I believe is there is a need to meet in trust and friendship with openness. One example I'll give you. We met regularly in Leicester City between Christian and Muslims for many years. We reached to a point where we had developed very good friendship and trust. Now we reached to a point when the Christians were saying that, look, our Christians become Muslims, we feel pain, but we can't do anything. They are free. But when they want to become Christian, you put all sorts of pressure, social pressure, all sorts of pressure, and in some Muslim country, they are killed. And your theology says if they converted, he should be killed. Now, quite a genuine dialogue started now. So what we did, the conveners, two conveners, Christian, Muslim conveners, said, let's confront this issue. How do you confront that issue? You need to bring convert Muslim to Christianity, a Christian convert to Islam. And let us listen to them, why they become Christian, why they become Muslim. And exactly we did that. We invited local imams, local people, come and listen. And they came. And Christian convert explained why he became Muslim. And Muslim said, why I become Christian? This was the first experience of that nature. And believe me, after our conversation, there were 4 imams who were after that person. And their conversation was still going on in a very trustful, simple, trustful manner, but friendly manner. So what I'm saying is that those issues, we may see that you can resolve, but once you develop trust, you will be able to resolve that. May not be successful, may be successful, but at least we debate those issues openly and friendship and trust. So this is another area of bilateral relationship. Interfaith relationship, again, my experience are largely a British experience. So media always portrays religion, Christian, Muslims particularly, in a very bad manner. And also some of our groups, Christian groups or Muslims, they portray even worse. What do you do? So the interfaith network we have in Britain, we come together and said, what about inviting all the editors of the newspapers and meet the religious leaders? So we invited a whole day seminar. Let the newspaper editors present their case, why they do what they do. Let the religious leaders should present their case, what they do, and why they are really concerned about. And after that presentation, we had an interesting debate and discussions. We did exactly the same thing about calendar when the 2000 was coming about. We did also about, for example, census. Up to 2001, we never had religious column. But how the government decides about religious group, all speculations, extrapolations, or because such number of Pakistanis are here, most likely they're all Muslim. You see, that's sort of extrapolations. So how do you do? So all the interfaith group came together and then put pressure on government. You must put a column on census, on religion. It took more than 3 to 4 years. But finally, government accepted it, although it is still an optional column.
Okay.
Right? But still we have. So as a result of that, now we know exactly what proportion number of Muslims, what is the development. So 2001, 2011 census to be comparable. Need of these communities are now much more widely known. And each community has a possibility to address their own issues. So these are the benefit of that. So we need to look at the interfaith in a much wider way. Now, let me also, if I may, to continue that interfaith relations, the single most important thing in interfaith is faith. If I do not have faith, I will not have an interfaith. So I can enter into interfaith with my values. It is not that, okay, you give one person, I will give one person, and we'll mix something new, a religion, and create, and leave something out for the goodness of our interfaith relations. No, that shouldn't happen. That must not happen. We must enter interfaith relations with dignity, with our values, and enter into with full respect and full dignity of the partner in dialogue, partners in dialogue. then we will be in a better position to contribute in the wider society, contribute on the common good of the society. So this is one aspect of interfaith relations. Bilateral relations, it is also important that if I entered into Trinidad with the Catholic Church in dialogue, or Christianity in general, what you are entering into is that you are entering into a culture and history of Trinidad which dominantly shaped by Catholic Church. So you are entering into Trinidad's history. It is not simply dialogue between the two faiths. It becomes dialogue between the two faiths plus understanding of the entering into an intercultural, intercivilizational dialogue. So this is a much wider aspects are also covered. And the other partner was also entering into dialogue to know what you are doing, how you are doing, what are your concerns as a minorities are. I believe the majority in a Muslim country or a Christian-dominated countries, majority has a responsibilities to help and support the minorities.
Regardless of who they are.
Who they are. It is a responsibility of those religions to support and help the minorities. And it is essential. Now, let me come to this interesting event that took place in 1990s. After the Satanic Verses affairs, many secular-oriented newspapers or
Salman Rushdie.
Rushdie affair,
Right.
start writing that Church of England's domination should finish because it is not right why the church should dominate the public space. You know, in Britain, Church of England has a right to send 26 of its members in the upper house, in the House of Lords. So there were 26 members of Anglican Church members as a right sit in the Parliament, in the legislation, making legislation. Mm-hmm. So everybody started shouting, look, this is unfair. And they said, Muslims is not unfair, Muslims are not unfair, the Hindus is not unfair for the Jews, etc., etc. But what they never asked the religious people in the religious community. So one of the policy center decided to bring all faith communities to discuss this issue. Would they like that the Church of England's supremacy should be removed from the state? What was the result? All faith communities, with the exception of Buddhism, because they were not sure about these things, all these faith communities came together and said, no, we do not want Church of England's position to be removed. We will rather support that the Church of England should be the dominant aspect in the state. Now, this was the result of Muslims, Jews, Buddhists, of course, Buddhists was not sure, Hindus, Baha'is, they all agreed on this issue. So, secular writers, columnists, newspapers, was as if they were writing on our behalf, religious communities' behalf, without even consulting the religious community. When the commitment, when the discussion took place, the outcome was completely different. So these are the areas.
What was the basis of their...
because what will happen, they said, that the religion as in a public place, religion in public life is shaped by the Church of England, number one. Secondly, in public functions, Queen's ceremony or public functions, it is the Church of England that represents religion. So they said, if you remove religion out of that, the vacuum that is created by taken up by the secularist. And therefore, we, the most religious communities, would rather like the Church of England to remain there and not to create that vacuum.
Right. Makes sense.
It makes sense. Yes. And I must say that Church of England also opened the doors for minorities in England
Right.
in many respects, because the relation between the bishops and the other faith communities in different regions of England has been very useful.
Mm. What even suggested that some areas of Sharia law be adopted.
Now that was a completely problem what I understand.
Yeah.
Archbishop of Canterbury, Ron Williams,
Right.
was talking to a very sophisticated audience. These were the lawyers.
Right.
What he was saying is, look, there are several Sharia courts. Now, this is also wrong term, courts.
Yeah.
It's not court. It is under the British law. It is mediation
centers.
These are mediation things. As the Jews also have same thing called Betadin. This for a long time that's going on. So when he suggested that how do you bring these mediation centers within the law, for that you have to recognize that these things exist.
Right.
Now this is what they have discussed inside the hall. Outside, the tabloids were saying Archbishop wants Sharia law to be enforced. You see the two different worlds. So this is the problem. So things were clarified, but once the media gets these things, it is very difficult to get out of it. So it was a huge issue for many days. But fortunately, it is more or less resolved. Now there is a commission that's been established to look the role of the mediation and the role of Muslim family laws and also inheritance laws, etc. So report will come and say what the report says.
All right. One issue is that a lot of Muslims take the view that we shouldn't really be entertaining interfaith relations. How do you respond to that?
I think the basis for that is that you do not make friends with the Jews and Christians. But my understanding is that one of the most dominant aspects, you see, of Prophet's life, his sunnah is a very important one. He did discussions with Christians in the Masjid al-Nabawi. Secondly, so that history is well known, that he invited Christians from Yemen. Well, they came to, not invited, they came to see him, and then there was a mubayalah discussions. And then his hospitality was extended to them to inside the Medina Masjid, and they prayed according to their rituals has been done. Second incident is in Prophet's life, which I see is when Prophet went to Medina, the Quraysh of Mecca, those who were not Muslims at the time, were constantly after him. And they still pursued the people who left behind in Habsha, in Ethiopia. So even then, when Prophet left Mecca, they were conspiring against Prophet, against Muslim communities in Ethiopia.
Right. Abyssinia.
Abyssinia. Right. So Prophet sent one of his emissaries, representative, from Medina to Najashi, King Negus, to make sure that that will not happen.
Right.
He chose a Christian representative. His ambassador was not a Muslim. Right? Ad-Damari. I forgot the full name, but last name was Ad-Damari. He sent him. He wasn't Christian, he was not Muslim. So this nature that there's a compartmentalization of this, there's a line drawn. No, we are human beings. As a human being, we need to discuss, we need to talk. Differences of religion will remain forever. That's my belief. And I absolutely believe it is not God who is wrong. It is the human responsibilities to negotiate, discuss,
Build relations.
dialogue, and for the betterment of that. Sabaqat fil khairat, compete in good things, as Quran says, is our responsibility. And ultimately, only Allah knows who is in what heart.
And even coming back to when the Prophet moved to Medina, he did interact with everybody and had agreements with them.
Yes, that's called the Misaq al-Medina, Covenant of Medina.
Right.
So that was the responsibility, that we will protect the city, we'll look after our own people. If the Medina is attacked, we will all collectively defend this part. Now let's just look only 1 or 2 aspects of that. Here is the 52 sentences. 23 of those things concerned with Jews and also Muhajirin, those who migrated from Mecca. This document in one place is called that one particular tribe of Jews and the Muslims are one ummah, one community. It states that. This becomes the basis of Maulana Hussain Ahmad Madani in India to say the Hindus and Muslims are one qawm, one nation against the British.
Right.
Right?
Makes sense.
This is how he drew his things. So this is how this document became an issue in the constitution formation of Indonesia. This becomes an issue in a riot in Pakistan in the 1953 riots in Punjab. All those things, constantly this document has been referred to. So this document becomes an important part of our understanding. But the important thing is also is that when Prophet was only 20 years old, his uncle, his family entered into a negotiation. Hilful Fudul, the alliance of the virtuous. That means every key people's name, three people's name ended with Fadl. So they said the alliance of virtuous. So that alliance said that we will protect the needy, the poor who comes into the Mecca. And there was a long discussion, and you will find the background of that, which I don't want to go. It is a very interesting background, how it happened. Later in Prophet's life, somebody asked about that document. Remember, he was not even Prophet. And he said that for hundreds of expensive camels, if I have to pay, I will not bargain for that. That document, that Hilful Fudul remains the best thing to do. You see. Now, Hilful Fudul didn't end it when the Prophet, when the people moved to Medina or anything, nothing. It continued. In Arab culture, continued. Up to Banu Umayyah's period, Hilful Fudul was applicable.
Mm-hmm.
So if anybody, like for Magna Carta,
Right.
starts saying, it's my Magna Carta rights, human rights, my violated. In Arab culture, people can stand and say, my Hilful Fudul has been violated. Immediately, authority has to listen. And that was the power of that document, approved by the Prophet, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Weakness of that document was, it says any one of those people who signed that, it will be applicable up to that period, when the last person is still alive. So the last person died in the time of Banu Umayyah, and therefore the whole Hilful Fuzul disappeared. Otherwise, that could have been our Magna Carta, first document.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the background. Whenever I read my own history, other things in this context, I find the relationship between Muslims and those who are not Muslims but much more cordial. Despite the fact that Islamic faith very strongly asserts Tawheed, Risalat and Akhirat. Uncompromising thing.
Mm-hmm.
These are the uncompromising, we cannot do. Yet, you have a right to differ. So that was the part. Now, let's come to the 1492.
Before you go there, let's take a break and we'll come back. And
Okay.
chat.
At times I feel that the sun is hidden by a hazy sky.
A God's gift brought straight from the farm to your plate. Jazza Rice, with its premium range of basmati rice, helping you prepare your perfect, mouth-watering dishes just as you planned. Jazza Rice, blessings in each plate.
Every now and then we need.
This is a Pakistani product, and all over the world, at least try it once. And if it's good, please let us know. We need your encouragement.
Just a little time to breathe.
Sheikh Leisha Limited, the leading manufacturers of vermicelli, split peas powder and grease-proof paper. We also manufacture a variety of paper and plastic bags. We have bags for French fries, sandwiches, popcorn, supermarkets, stores, and much more. Whatever your needs, trust Sheikh Leisha Limited for quality products. Sheikh Leisha Limited, Warrenville, Cunupia, telephone 665-3336.
Welcome back, brothers and sisters, and we are discussing interfaith relations with an expert in the subject, Dr. Atallah Siddiqui, and he was about to tell us about.
Now, I'm just saying that we are living in this small island. Our future is connected. This interconnected relationship we are living in here. We cannot live in isolation.
Mm-hmm.
My neighbor's pain is also my pain. My neighbor's joy is also my joy. That's my faith tells me. My core of our values is mercy, forgiveness, justice, and ihsan, doing things in a very proper, fitting manner, beautiful manner. Those are the values that they teach us, that we must be proactively engaging with the people around us. We cannot neglect them. We cannot create an island within an island. We have interconnected future. And for that, we be prepared theologically, as well as all ways we should have proactive engagement in helping others in need. For the common good of this country, we need our religious leaders to convey the message to their own congregations that the future of this island and our future is interconnected. And for that, we need to do whatever we can. This teaching of isolations is dangerous. That's one of my experiences I had in Sri Lanka.
Sri Lanka.
Yes.
And was recent, was it?
Very recently, only 2-3 months ago.
Right.
I went there because I wanted to go and meet some people.
And they have a history of violent disagreements.
They have their own history. But then I went there, I spent 3 full days in a Christian seminary with Father Pierre, one well-known scholar in Pali, Sanskrit languages. So I wanted to meet him and talk to him, and I spent 3 days with him. But that was an opportunity to speak to the Christian priest, future leaders,
Mm-hmm.
to preach and talk to them about Christian-Muslim relations. So we sat together. There were a group of 14, 15 people. These are the people who are ordained priests. And these are the people who are going to be in future leaders. So I said, let us discuss what do you think about Muslims. So they asked me basic questions about Islam. But then I said, okay, let us talk about what do you think about Muslims in Sri Lanka. And also the contemporary issues that you are facing about Islam. You go in 3 groups, 5, 5, 5. Now come up with your perception of Muslims in this country, of Islam and Muslims. So it took 45 minutes of their conversation or so. They came back. So the list was made. When I heard their concern, their perception of Muslims, I was horrified. Then I asked them, how many Muslims you met? He said, very rarely. Because they are not open. So there's the whole list comes into. So I was thinking, what is happening? What is happening here? They lived for hundreds of years together. What's the problem? Of course, I know there are different layers of things because the largely Christians are also Sinhala. And Muslims are Tamils.
Sinhalese.
Mm-hmm. Muslims are largely Tamils. So there is that dynamics as well. But it shouldn't stop Christian and Muslims talking.
But before, what were some of the issues they had?
Oh, they have the lots of issues because they thought that they buy their own land, They live their things. They do not mingle with the things. They do not sell buy things with other Christians. They are insulated. They are bringing all these covers. Absolutely about nothing but faith, but largely about cultural imaginations, images about things, but nothing to do with it. They didn't have very much, they didn't have any idea what Islam looks like, what it is. Second day, I had another session, much larger group, nearly 40 of them, Christian. I had an open discussions with them. Why Muslims are so angry today? Let us discuss. So we had the whole half a day with them. Then I asked them, how many of you met Muslims? I was surprised that only 1 or 2 hands gone up. I said, what about meeting tonight? Because we were having a meeting between Christian-Muslim dialogue relationship. Of course, some of them were willing to go, others were already planned to go. So we went in a small van. Some people came in a car, some came in a motorbike. 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, we met. And here's the Muslim community, lawyers, businessmen, teachers, bankers, all those things. Here's the Christian community as well, well equipped. Never met. This is the first time they're meeting. So I said, look, you have given me this topic to speak. I will speak for 15 minutes. And I want to do something different. So I spoke to them for 15 minutes. Then I said, now I want to make Christian and Muslim group, different groups. Workshop. And in that workshop, you have to find out what are your problems, what are challenges of Christian Muslims, and what are the challenges in this country. Mm-hmm. We cannot resolve this, but we'll start. So after, say, 40 minutes or so, they came back, and then each group gave their list. These are our concerns. We didn't know about this. We didn't know. And then after that, I said, okay, the group will go back and say, what do you want to do together? Come up in 15 minutes, list of that. So they came back and said they want to, first thing, our dialogue began already today. They want to continue that. And they want to work on that and work together in that respect. Now look at Tamil community, Muslims. They are well equipped. They know Sinhala, they know Tamil, they know English. They are aware of that. Neither Sinhalese nor Tamil, those who are not Muslims, can do that. It is the unique position of Muslims. They could, but not been invested. So this sort of things works. You need to bring people together. Why want to divide people? We're already divided. Let's bring together. That's my concern.
And utilizing this same facility, how could we get Muslims together?
Now, interfaith is easy.
Intrafaith.
Intrafaith is most difficult. I have those experiences too in England. It is difficult for Christians. It is difficult for Muslims. But what happens is, this again, I'm speaking from as an experience.
Yeah.
We met in interfaith Muslims of different denominations. So we become friends in interfaith gatherings.
Right.
Right? And then we develop our own intrafaith debate. So we started in England a Shia-Sunni dialogue.
Right.
And believe me, it is wonderful to see Muslim ulama and Shia ulama sitting together at a table discussing the most difficult issues they can think, and realizing that some of the things that they thought they think didn't exist. Now,
Could we get a report on that?
oh, that's available on the website. I can send you, you
Yeah.
can mention whenever.
Because I would like to go through that with the
Yes.
audience, because
Yes.
those are things that,
Yeah.
could really give an insight into really how sometimes we imagine things that are absolutely wrong
Yeah, there are those.
and non-existent.
Yes. There are those things available. It's happening. I remember I called once 4 continuous sessions with the 4 months gap. Muslims of different denominations together to discuss about the interfaith dialogue. This included Shia, Sunni, Deobandi, Barelwi, Ali Hadith, all together. And I had a fruitful discussions. They never fought against each other, never. They were very, very respectful to each other. And they come up with ideas. You see, this is important. Another experience that I had, there's one small city, Bristol, one big city in Bristol. The community came together and said, the imams in this place needs training, skill, learning skills, understanding the British culture. So I remember I myself devising a whole program for them. Then they got a sponsorship to run this course, and we did the program in Markville Institute. And I remember preparing 3 sessions of 4 days each, from Sunday to Thursday. The first day, they came all in the same van, suspicious of each other. Right? They never met in their own city. Now they have to travel together. Right? They are not only they have to travel together, they have to stay together in the same campus.
Right.
And in the evening, I gave them a task that you have to prepare a collective report like a newspaper tomorrow morning. And one will be editor, and I will be sub-editor, and I will be a reporter. They have to work together. Second, third day, they become best friend. Third day, all the denominational firing finished. Within 3 days. They were joking about each other. Even they were, second term when they came, they were best friends. They were really commenting openly about, as I said, in dialogue, even in interfaith dialogue, friendship and trust is important. So they built that trust, and then they become best friends. And when they went back after the training, I went after a few months later, they were still best friends. They were helping each other in that. You see. They remain Deobandi, Barelwi, whatever, but they remain friends. And that is what we need. A place, a reason to come together. Now, people also say we need unity. You know what it means? Uniformity.
Which is wrong.
Yes. Unity in everybody's mind. You become like me.
Yeah, no, that's not unity.
Nobody wants to do that. Why should I become like you?
That's right.
Unity is possible of a purpose. Let us unite about education, issue for all common concern.
Right.
You have to unite about something else. But unity, for unity's sake, it never works.
Yeah.
So once you have an educational issue, you come together, work together.
Oh, any issue for that
Any
matter
issue for
that
that
affects
matter.
everybody.
Yeah. Once that's completed, forget about it. Just disperse.
Yeah.
That's unity
Right.
for me. But this vague idea of unity, that now everybody will give up every 5% of their life,
Yeah.
5% of their faith, 5% of their way of thinking, is not going to happen.
Right.
Let them believe as they are,
That's right.
but contribute together. That's the best way of doing things in this.
Yeah, we don't
respect.
we don't want to get together
Or get together,
to fight about our belief systems.
Yeah, there are so many common things.
That's right.
There are so many common things that we can work together.
That's right.
Why can't we find commonality? We always start with our differences. Yeah? If every Deobandi today wants to make all the Brahmins Deobandi, is not going to happen.
Right.
Or neither every Brahmin will be succeeded to convert all the Brahmins. We need to live with different ideas, but we must have common cause, common relationship, and that is very important in my report.
You know, you were talking about Deobandi and Beverly, but that's not something that is known in Trinidad.
That's another can of worm you are thinking of that one. That's a completely different issue. Shia Sunni, for example, or any other part. So let's start those things.
Yeah.
But have we visited each other's mosque?
Right.
Have we met on Eid day? Right? Have the leaders of the different denomination, different mosques stand together on common cause of this country? These are symbolic things we need to do in here. The symbolism has a meaning. Symbolism has an impact. We need to work on that one. Another area that we are working on at the moment is that people who are going through Darul Uloom, the Islamic sciences route, learning of the classical Islamic traditions. In England, their whole 8 years of syllabus, whole 8 years of 7 years, 8 years, 6 years of effort is not recognized, right?
Not accredited internationally.
So what we have done in Markfield, in Markfield Institute, we have created, in negotiating with the universities, that they should enter into second year of BA out of 3 years. And within 2 years, they will get Islamic Studies BA honors through recognized university.
Right.
When they come to us, they enter into a different world of critical thinking, critical writing, research methods.
And that is so important.
And then also understanding other faith communities.
In providing or building a valuable community.
Yeah. So now we have students from Germany, from America, from European countries coming to that part. We have, and at the moment, I have 40 ulama, qualified Dars-e-Nizami graduates in my class. It is a wonderful group of people, men and women. And I can tell you, I'm so impressed by their quality. When they know what to do, they put a lot of effort. And every year we get either distinction or first class from those group of students.
Right.
It's such a powerful thing.
So we are out of time now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And it was going so good.
Yeah, I didn't realize.
So you are leaving tomorrow morning.
Yes.
And well, thanks a lot for us getting together, because I'm sure that the majority of the viewers out there would really have been really caught up in what you had to say, because it's something that is so relevant, but yet so absent in most communities. And I hope that we will be able to learn from it and really put it into practice in the way that we ought to. So thank you very much. And my brothers and sisters, I hope, as I said, I am sure that you found the discussions on this particular topic very interesting. And it's really what we ought to do as Muslims to continue to develop our community and our relationship with those other publics that we interact with on a daily basis. Join us once again next week for another interesting different perspectives. Jazakallah, Assalamu alaikum.